cases of dengue fever.
Thanks for joining us on the news tonight. Omodera is my name. Chairman Osrc Media Group Kunle Adebayo has stressed the need for media practitioners to be adequately informed on medical-related issues for prompt dissemination of information to the public, while receiving representatives of a non-governmental organization, Sharing Hope Foundation and Riverside International from the USA at the Osrc headquarters, Oritabele, in Akure, the Ondo State capital. Mr. Kunle Adebayo said the organization is ready to partner with any organization to enhance the lives of the people of the state. We'll bring you the details of that report in the course of the bulletin. The Nigerian Medical Association has urged the federal government to declare a state of emergency in the health sector. The Kwara State Chairman of NMA, Dr. Abdulkadir Ahmed, made the appeal while addressing newsmen as part of activity. According to him, Nigeria is losing human resources for health and geometric progression, Lassa viral hemorrhagic fever, malaria, COVID-19, Ebola, and Marburg, among others. Ahmed therefore called on the government to quickly declare an emergency in the nation's health sector for the sake of citizens, adding that there is need to do more on the security of lives and properties. The state chairperson, who asserted that NMA Kwara members have recorded a lot of successes in career development, with many passing their fellowship examinations, getting promoted to the rank of professors and associate professors, observed that despite the national drawbacks, the Nigerian doctor has a lot to celebrate this week just for being alive. Women in prison have health care needs unique from incarcerated men, including obstetric services. But in the case of Kemisola Oguni, who delivered at the female correctional facility, Surulere, Ondo Town in Ondo State, such treatment was not accorded her. In this special report, Juliet Buna takes a look at what's life like behind bars for pregnant female inmates. But we'll bring you the details in the course of our bulletin. Some hoodlums believed to be political thugs have beaten the Ogun State House of Assembly candidate of the African Action Congress from Ijebu-Ode, Tanimowo Oyemade, to pop. The candidate was said to have incurred the wrath of the political thugs for pasting posters at Okeaje Market near Ekpe Garage in Ijebu-Ode, and his refusal to give them the money they demanded, and was said to have been rushed to a nearby hospital where he was given medical attention. Speaking on the incident, the state chairman of the party, Adesina Afolabi, who described the incident as unfortunate, accused the candidate of the ruling party of masterminding the beating. Also speaking from his hospital bed, Oyemade said he was not expecting the thugs to attack him because of politics. The United States and Britain have warned of a possible terrorist attack in Abuja, the nation's capital. According to the warnings, the attack would be especially aimed at government buildings, places of worship, schools, and other centers where large crowds gather. In its brief communique, the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria said there is an elevated risk of terror attacks in Nigeria, specifically in Abuja, and added that shopping malls, law enforcement facilities, and international organizations were among places at risk, stating that the embassy will offer reduced services until further notice. Similarly, the United Kingdom, in its foreign travel advice, urged Nigerians to be on the lookout as the terror groups operating within the country are planning to carry out assaults in the nation's capital. Following the July raid on Kuje prison by members of the Boko Haram and Islamic State terror groups, there have been serious concerns that many of the terrorists who were part of the 440 inmates that escaped might still be within Abuja and its environs. Still talking security, the Nigerian Police Force has ordered all 36 states and the Federal Capital Territories commands police commissioners and heads of tactical squads to re-strategize security management within their jurisdictions. This follows a security advisory by the Embassy of the United States of America in Abuja, indicating an elevated risk of terror attacks in the country, particularly in the capital city. The Force Public Relations Officer, CSP Olumiwa Adejobi, in a statement said the police would review the U.S. security advisory while strengthening structures across the country from proactiveness, and also announced Operation Daking Gagawa simulation exercise in the FCT. Adejobi noted that a review of the advisory was necessary, adding that the police would not take any threat intelligence, either actionable or not, for granted, adding that the force headquarters will continue to avail all state commands and FCT tactical units with the required support, logistics and deployment necessary. Moving to litigation matters now, the Court of Appeal in Abuja has reserved judgment in an application by the federal government seeking a stay of execution of the court's judgment that ordered the release of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Justice Aruna Sanami, who presided over the hearing of the application, announced that a date for delivery of judgment would be communicated to the parties soon. The FG's counsel, David Casware, who told the court that Kanu constituted a huge threat to national security and must be kept in detention to have relative peace, said that it was a flight risk and would escape out of the country if the judgment which ordered his release was not stayed. In a motion for stay of the execution of the October 13 judgment delivered in favor of Kanu, the FG insisted that the Biafra nation agitator could throw the nation's security into jeopardy. Justice Mobolaji Olajuwon of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has ordered the final forfeiture of 2 Abuja properties and 2 luxury cars belonging to a former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Diezani Alison Maduke, to the federal government. The 2 properties are located at plot 1854 Mohammed Mahashi Street and number 6 Aso Drive in the Eyebrow, Asokoro and Maitama districts of Abuja, are valued at over $2 million and 380 million naira respectively. The luxury cars are a black BMW Saloon and a black Jaguar Saloon car valued at 36 million naira. The judge gave the order forfeiting the asset to the federal government of Nigeria while ruling on the application by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, in suit asking for the final forfeiture of the assets. Let's go on a break now. When we come back, we'll serve you more stories on the news. Please stay with us.
The Vice-Chancellor, Professor Adesegun Fatusi, on behalf of the management and university community, cordially invites friends of the university and the general public to the ninth distinguished lecture titled Connecting Medicine and Literature, Reflections of the University System and Health Profession Education in Nigeria. Date, Friday 28 October 2022. Time, 11 a.m. Venue, New Lecture Theatre, Medical Village Campus, University of Medical Sciences, Laije Medical Village, Ondo City, Ondo State, Nigeria. Distinguished Lecturer, Dr. Wale Okediran, a medical practitioner, an award-winning author, Secretary General of Pan-African Writers Association, and the former member, Federal House of Representatives. Special guest of honor, Arakunrin Oluwarotimi Odunayo Akeredolu SAN, Governor of Ondo State. Dr. Woleola J. Ekundayo, Registrar and Announcer.
Welcome back. You can watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook, OSRC TV Ondo, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel, OSRC TV Ondo. Now to the rest of the bulletin. Beneficiaries of the 2022 Fashion Industry Entrepreneurship Support Program have expressed optimism that the initiative would galvanize the economy of Ondo State. The graduation ceremony of the beneficiaries in Akure was witnessed by the wife of the state governor, Chief Betty Ayawa Akredolu, represented by the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Gender Research and Documentation, Mrs. Temitope Daniel, parents and top government dignitaries. OSRC correspondent Olumide Adeloye has details.
The training was aimed at youth development through education and empowerment. It is part of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 1 and 2, aimed at putting an end to poverty and hunger, as well as Goal 8, targeted at ensuring decent jobs and economic growth. More than 150 persons have benefited from the initiative across Nigeria, just as Ondo State has now joined other states to benefit from the empowerment program. Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, represented by the Commissioner for Women and Social Development, Princess Adebumi Oshadon, emphasized that the governor has always put women and the girl child into consideration in all the policies and programs of his administration.
We are always very grateful to Mr. Governor for giving us all it takes to add value to the governance of Ondo State. Anything like this, any project like this, you can be at beckon of hand. All these things are just an addition to the 8-point agenda of Mr. Governor.
In their goodwill messages, State Controller, Federal Ministry of Labour, Michael Olushola, and the Commissioner in Subeb, Princess Ademulegun Brown, noted that the beneficiaries have learned a lot from the training, which will help them to stand on their own.
Look at it that you can make a change. Get to the Ghana there. They have special tailor. They don't have to rest. And presently, you have different material that you can start and work with. Now you have computer machine. Put in the design, it will bring it out.
People that are entrepreneurship, they are even more richer than those people that went to the universities. So please encourage your work and your children to learn skills.
Some of the beneficiaries showcased outfits sewed by them through Fashion Walkway.
After the training, I learned that fashion is not just all about sewing, it's about what is in your brain, what you want to put into it to make it more perfect, and that is what I've really learned from here.
I feel amazing, I feel fulfilled because I've been liking to be a fashion designer, and this is just like making my aims and objectives to come to limelight.
Highlight of the event was presentation of startup packs to the beneficiaries to help them launch their businesses and certificates of competency. Olumide Adeluoye, Osrc News.
The Vice President of Liberia, Dr. Joel Howard Taylor, has called for the discouragement of coup in Africa, especially in West Africa region, stressing that it won't aid development in any form. Howard Taylor, in a chat with Osrc, said coup have caused more havoc than good to the African continent, which drags her back among committee of continents in the world. Our correspondent Joseph Ikukwomere completes the story.
Since 2010 up to now, coup have become the order of the day in Africa. Coup have been the bane of taking power forcefully in Africa since the 60s, with numerous reasons ranging from corruption, bad governance, among others. Nigeria had a share in 1966, same with Ghana, among other West African countries, and of course the entire African continent. The most recent being that of Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, Guinea-Bissau, Gabon, Ethiopia, Central African Republic, Tunisia, Sudan, among others. In other parts of the world like Bangladesh, Thailand, Yemen, Myanmar, etc., coup is also the order of the day, which at the end of the day most times lead to war and hardship to citizens. Speaking on this development, the first female vice president of Liberia, Joel Howard Taylor, while maintaining that good governance is the bedrock of any societal growth, emphasized that where this becomes lacking as a result of greed, inequality, and inappropriate maximization of rule of law, forced coup to take place.
The matter is that leaders must rule justly and equitably so that everyone is a part of the process. That way, everyone equally benefits from whatever it is a country has. That way, it will stop the coups.
She noted that peace, quality education, adequate health care delivery, industrialization, among others, are needed to reshape the continent for good.
That we must be aware that it is a privilege to serve. Leadership is about service to people, to a majority or all of your people, not for yourself or for your family members. I think leaders who serve selflessly and with integrity and commitment to bring benefits to everybody will continue legacies of peace and enduring benefits of the people that you lead, which is better.
Howard Taylor equally advocated the need for government of inclusiveness, gender equality, and strong political will to be embedded in developing the continent. Joseph Ikugbomire, OSRC News.
Let's go for another break. When we'll come back, we'll serve you more stories on the news. Please stay with us.
The 2023 general elections are around the corner, and as an organization owned by the public, the OSRC Media Group is committed to supporting all political parties and all candidates in their aspirations. The Media Group therefore invites all political parties and candidates to take advantage of our wide coverage and public acceptability to market themselves. Air your jingles and campaign activities on any of our channels: OSRC TV, Orange 94.5 FM and Sunshine 96.5 FM Alalaye at heavily discounted rates. Reach us at our Okeda office or call Toyin on 0803 563 5646, Yakini on 0818 800 9590, Shegun on 0803 352 3169. OSRC Media Group, always at your service.
All right, you are welcome back. Let's bring you that report on welfare of pregnant inmates. That women in prison have healthcare needs unique from incarcerated men, including obstetric services. But in the case of Kemisola Oguni, who delivered at the female correctional facility, Surulere, Ondo Town, in Ondo State, such treatment was not accorded her. In this special report, Juliet Bona takes a look at what's life like behind bars for pregnant female inmates.
"18-year-old Kemisola Oguniye was a senior secondary school 3 student in 2020 who had a dream of graduating with her colleagues. But that dream was abruptly cut short as she was arrested. Miss Oguniye was first kept behind bars in police custody before she was incarcerated at the female correctional facility, Surulere, Ondo Town, in Ondo State. And that was the beginning of a much bigger worry as she later found out she was pregnant. Necessary care like regular antenatal services were exclusive, a situation she said she would not wish her enemy. 2 years down the line, the pains and horror of her days at the Ondo Correctional Facility still linger on. Kemisola speaks on how she was handcuffed to a hospital bed and made to go through hard labor despite being heavily.
After 10 to 11, now one day she doesn't know Laro. Only to move a salon from me. Only to move a salon. She had to go on the sea. But I just to go. To go now, no saying I was so you tó bá ti ní bọ́sí fi ṣe lè ṣe lágbé díẹ̀ náà mo ṣe wá gbọ́ ìsàkóso pé lórúkọ jésù àyè ni wọ́n fún ìpèsè àti ní àtúmọ̀ àyè ni wọ́n máa jáde wípé ó ti pẹ́ nígbà nìkan gbé mi wá tó wà pẹ̀lú ojú sí yẹn kò sí kankan ń bẹ wọ́n ṣàgbégbé èdè síbẹ̀ lásán ni ìlàjà àwọn tó wà ń bẹ páálí ni kò sóògùn náà àwọn èèyàn ń kógun wá o àwọn èèyàn ń kọ́ṣẹ́ wá o.
Pregnant. In August 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari signed the Nigeria Correctional Service Act, which provides improved welfare for pregnant prisoners. Section 34 of the bill contains specific measures to address their special needs, which includes the provision of a crèche for the well-being of babies in custody and prenatal and antenatal health care for the mothers. For Kemisola Oguniyi, these laws were just words on paper. Despite the law, the fate of pregnant inmates like 18-year-old Kemisola Oguniyi, even though she stayed at an all-female prison in Ondo State, one of the free built for women in the country, could be worse off in a mixed facility.
We can only encourage agencies like the Nigeria Correctional Service and maybe NGOs who are in the criminal justice sector to see to it that there's a bit more sensitization in terms of stigmatizing pregnant women who are inmates.
For the Controller of Correction, Nigeria Correctional Service, Ondo State Command, Okpe Fatinukun, treatment of inmates is sometimes deterred because of poor response from relevant agencies. He however said the command is not aware of any maltreatment of pregnant inmates.
We do pregnancy tests for all our female inmates. From that place, we take it up upon ourselves. In the female facility, we have doctors, we have nurses, we have what it takes, just like a bigger society, to take care of any of our inmates. Even at male custodial center, we have the same facilities.
According to reports, out of about 70,000 inmates in Nigeria's correctional centers, over 1,000 representing 2% are females and with the likelihood of being pregnant. This is just as the United Nations General Assembly in its resolution on 2022 December 2003 entitled Human Rights in the Administration of Justice called for increased attention to be devoted to the issue of women in prison, including the children of women in prison, with a view to identifying the key problems and ways in which they could be addressed. But for Kemisola Oguniyi, who has had to pass through the needle, her hope is for the 36 female inmates who are currently at the Ondo State Correctional Center and others across the country to get the needed help when issues like this arise. Juliet Buna, OSRC News.
All right, let's bring you the report on US-based group seeking OSRC partnership and medical information and dissemination. Chairman, OSRC Media Group, Kunle Adebayo, stressed the need for media practitioners to be adequately informed on medical-related issues for prompt dissemination of information to the public, while receiving representatives of a non-government organization, Sharing Hope Foundation and Riverside International from the USA at the OSRC headquarters, Owitabele in Akure, the Ondo State capital. Mr. Kunle Adebayo said the organization is ready to partner with any organization to enhance the lives of the people of the state. Olushaye Akinwalere has details.
Foreign troops from the United States of America Sharing Hope Foundation in collaboration with Riverside International have been in Ondo State for about 1 week now, training medical personnel in hospitals on various skills on health-related issues and also provide medical and sport equipment to the state. Part of the activities include visits to OSRC Media Group, where the team was engaged on both radio and television programs AM Today and the Periscope with a view to get intended message across to the people.
The doctors is to bring the nursing side. We know that in healthcare there is kind of the medical doctor side and then there's the nursing side.
The visitors were earlier received by the chairman of the organization, Mr. Kunle Adebayo, who encouraged them to always put media engagement into consideration anytime they visit Nigeria in order to help them get the messages to the general public. He also encouraged them to train journalists on basic knowledge on medical-related issues to enable them promptly attend to victims whenever the need arises.
Most times when we have disasters happen. Some of the first responders are our colleagues. A few of the times when our colleagues get there are people who need medical help at that particular time, before medical professionals come. It worries me whether sometimes some of our colleagues who are in the media don't need some basic understanding of basic knowledge of how to interpret. I felt I wanted to raise that when we come, that not necessarily the medical professionals at all times, but basic information that...
Responding, leader of the group who facilitated the visit to the state through the intervention of the wife of the governor, Dr. Emeka Anyanwu, held the warm reception by the media group and promised to work on the chairman's suggestions for the smooth delivery of the services.
From what they say, this age, media age technology, what people learn, people here, they're spreading out, they're sending us out. So I'm looking forward for next trip here in the state. Be able to arrive for the first day, be able to get a media involved so that they can spread out, broadcast what we are teaching, what we are, even in hospital activities or outreach, clinical staff, clinical practice we try to do next year, go out there in the villages, out from the city to be able to, integrate the community into what we're doing.
Riverside International Outreach Team alongside Sharon Hope team have been able to train over 500 medical practitioners during this year's medical journey to Ondo State. Olusheye Akinwalere, South News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated President Xi Jinping on his re-election as President of the People's Republic of China. Jinping secured the historic third term as China's leader yesterday and filled his inner circle with close allies, achieving complete dominance over the ruling Communist Party. In a statement by his media aide, Garba Shehu, Buhari said he believes that the development of infrastructure such as railways, dams and road construction, power generating plants as well as trade exchanges will receive a strong boost. Former Finance Minister Rishi Sunak has won the battle for leadership of Britain's Conservative Party and will become the country's first Prime Minister of colour. The last rival, left Boris Johnson, dramatically pulled out. Penny Mordaunt failed to secure the necessary 100 nominations from our fellow members of Parliament. Senior backbencher Graham Brady announced Mordaunt's full support for Sunak. The Health Ministry in Bangladesh is struggling to cope with the increasing number of dengue fever cases. More than 100 people have died from the disease since January, and at least 27,000 people have been hospitalized. Poor sanitation, a lack of adequate drainage, and changing weather patterns are being blamed for the alarming spike in infections. And now to sport. President of the Nigeria Football Federation, Ibrahim Gusau, will be at the forefront of the support group when the country's under-17 girls Flamingos tackle Colombia in the semi-finals of this year's FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup in Goa on Wednesday. The NFF boss, who has spoken with the players and officials severally during their earlier games in the tournament, will physically witness the semi-final showdown at the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium in Goa. It is the fourth semi-final starting 12 noon Nigeria time, with a second semi-final between Germany and Spain to kick off 3.5 hours later. Before we go on the news, a quick look at some of the highlights of the bulletin. US-based humanitarian group Riverside International and a non-government organization, Sharing Hope Foundation, have sought audience with the management of Osrc Media Group to seek partnership in information dissemination for medical delivery. The Nigerian police has ordered watertight security across Nigeria following advisory from the United Kingdom and United States embassies in the country in impending terror attacks. Vice President of Liberia, Dr. Joel Howard Taylor, has blamed the absence of good governance as propellant of coup in Africa. Howard Taylor, who had a chat with Osrc, said coup d'etat have caused more havoc than good to the African continent. And that's it on the news tonight. Thanks for watching. Good evening.